Greetings, friends. This is Elizabeth Schermer with our new moon message for the second Cancer new moon of 2020 on July 20th. The Cancer new moon was July 20th today, earlier today at 10:33 a.m. I've been looking forward to this day all year. And so I'll explain a little bit in this message about why this is such an important day and an important threshold that we have crossed today, and how you can capture these potentials for yourself. So as we begin, I invite you to move into your heart, take a breath, breathe deeply, and set the intention to receive the impulse of the present moment. And as you breathe fully all the way to the bottom of your lungs, fill your lungs with air, you are receiving with air to every cell of your body this new moment that exists in every moment, the new possibility. And then as you breathe out, you're releasing the past and coming present. This may be the biggest message, even though it's very practical. This may be the biggest message of the day. These potentials that we are experiencing and that I'll be discussing today are with us. And so the only thing really that's necessary, what the guides are saying right now, is if you move in your heart, you will have if you move into your heart and connect to the earth and to your body. Move into your heart, connect to your earth and your body, and you'll know what you need to know. So that's what we're remembering, and it's what we're learning, and it's how we're healing, is to heal our connections to our bodies and to the body of the earth. And then by doing this personally and with each other, we're healing our collective and we're healing our past. We're actually in this moon connecting to the possibilities of actually anchoring the visions of new timelines, new trajectories, new worlds that we see. And this enables us to heal the challenges that we are witnessing currently in our personal lives and in our collective lives by showing up to these challenges and anchoring the love and light that heal us. We are healing our past. So Thoth is here saying the challenges that we are witnessing are our past being revealed. Those are challenges in your physical body. When we experience physical symptoms, it's the revelation of what we have been carrying and the expression of what we're carrying in order to be healed. We've just had 3 powerful eclipses in this month of 2 Cancer new moons. The Cancer new moon on summer solstice began with an eclipse, and that was a point of anchoring a new potential, a new claim to personal allegiance. You might remember it, the symbol for the archetype for 1 Cancer at solstice is planting a new flag of allegiance, raising a new flag. So we are at a point in our collective history and in our personal lives of claiming new personal allegiance, claiming the truth of ourselves as individuals, our ability to trust, learning to trust our inner authority, to trust our inner truth, and what that really means. And so then we had a full moon solar eclipse 2 weeks later, which was at 14 Cancer and 14 Capricorn, which connected us to the truth of the ancient wisdom that we carry and our ability to see beneath the surface of things in order to trust and connect to the deep wisdom that's held within and the truth that sustains us. This is not superficial truth of personal perspectives or external information. This is our ongoing endeavor to commit to aligning with truth so that we can do our best to show up. Each of us only ever sees a small amount of truth. And so when we commit to aligning with the universal principles of love and light that sustain and that sustain all of life, then we receive our best impulse in the moment of how to show up for that alignment. So today we are experiencing, or whenever you're watching this video, on July 20th, we experienced the second Cancer new moon, which occurred at, just a moment, 29 Cancer. And 29 Cancer is an incredibly potent power point within the cycle of the year. 29 Cancer, the symbol for 29 Cancer is the archetype, the Sabian archetype for that degree of the zodiac is a Greek muse weighing two newborn twins on golden scales. And what this represents, out of all the challenges and all the opportunities and all the blessings of your life, in this potent moment, you have the opportunity to experience the fullness of contrast, the fullness of paradox, the fullness of all the potentials of that are, the light and the dark, and the beauty of the light and the dark, to see both of everything in the moment, the new golden twins on golden scales, to see and feel the potentials of the moment, to make a new choice where you get to integrate the contrast, to make a new choice, to make a new beginning. And so those of you who work with the cards, the Thoth cards, will recognize this teaching within the adjustment card and the sword she is balancing on is that personal flag of allegiance, commitment to inner truth, and your best personal moment of alignment with inner truth, and the ability then to come into full relationship, the balancing of the scales to full relationship with all the paradoxes and contrasts and choices in life. Okay, so 3 eclipses, 2 new moons, exactly opposite the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in Capricorn that began our year. What's one of the most potent aspects of the astrology chart for our new moon is that Saturn happens to be exactly opposite to the new moon at 29 Capricorn. And this is holding a new ability to connect with personal power and the highest levels of personal power that are available, and for us to collectively do this in order to transcend the past and transform all that has been into something new. There's so much to say. We could write a whole book today. I said novel because it's a story that we're creating. There's an element of writing a new myth. So writing the new novel is writing the myth that we will choose of our new future, our most fortunate future, and how we can align with these truths in order to create a vision, to use our imagination and our intuition to feel what's possible, and then to trust it. So Saturn is the keeper of form and structure in our world. Saturn is associated with our bones, with the structures of both time and material form. So think of how your bones support your body, and then realize that what Saturn is doing at our new moon is allowing us to connect with the truth behind and beneath the physical structures that have already been created. Saturn also creates the forms of our consciousness, not just the forms of the material world. So when we connect to the forms of our consciousness and our inner truth, we don't have to rely on security with the outside structures of life and the forms that have already been created. What's being dismantled in our world reflects the forms of the structures of our culture that don't serve us anymore, that are based on old systems of authority and abuse of power. We're evolving out of those systems. We feel this urge and desire and inspiration to transcend the past. And so what we're being called to do now is use new tools of inner alignment so that we can rise to these challenges in new ways, not based on old programming and old habits and the ways we've been taught to struggle against each other, but actually to rise, to embrace contrast, to welcome contrast, to welcome multiple perspectives in order to seek a balanced path forward that transcends old understandings of the nature of reality. We are much more than we've been taught. Our world is much more than we've been taught. And that's the really exciting threshold that we're crossing now. So I want to just, I'll just quickly show you this visual image for those of you who are visual, including myself. This is the new moon chart, and you can see the new moon here, the sun and moon conjunct at 29 Cancer, and then directly opposite is our stellium in Capricorn, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. And Saturn happens to have the location of exact opposition to the sun and moon. And so that's that illumination. The exact opposition creates an illumination, and Saturn's illuminating how we can trust the forms of our own constitutional strength and our willpower and our imagination and our connection to our inner guidance and our ability together to create new forms that serve us all. So I have here the tarot cards for Cancer, and we talked about these cards a month ago at the summer solstice. The significant aspect that I'd like to call forward today of the Chariot is the quality of new personal boundaries that are being activated by this quality of Saturn's commitment to structure and form. There's so many words in my head right now. Just a moment, let me take a breath. On the Tree of Life, the path for the Chariot is called Het, or fence, and it's the 18th path, and fence is the Hebrew letter that is associated with the Chariot, and it represents boundaries. And so the ultimate boundary in your life is your personal energy field. And what Cancer helps you do every year is activate a new field of personal empowerment so that you're walking through life with your own boundaries, not the boundaries that have been imposed on you by the culture or by limiting patterns from lineage or your own limiting patterns and beliefs that have brought you to this point. You get to create new boundaries now that anchor a stronger, clearer, more illuminated and empowered sense of self. That's what this entire month has been about. The significance of the 3 eclipses is that these activations now are at a new level because this process of 3 eclipses over the last month has illuminated the hidden patterns and shadows that both that don't serve you or what's been hidden that is actually your greatest strength. And sometimes those are the same thing. So think of this new moon now as a reboot, as an opportunity to revisit all of these principles now from a new place of empowerment. And the universe is so aligned now to help you do that. The Queen of Cups is at the center of the altar for our Cancer cards, and I heard from several people in Mystery School today over text messages that they received the Queen in their spreads and in their daily cards. This is the message that your strong heart holds what you need to know. It's the card of compassion for ourselves and others that comes from real strength. Interestingly, something I want to say about the Tree of Life is that Saturn rules the world. Also, that Saturn is associated with the world on the Tree of Life called Binah that is also ruled by the Queen of Cups. This is at the very top of the tree in what we call the supernals. The divine love that holds us and nurtures us is also available to each of us in our own hearts. So there's a new quality and strength of emotional fortitude now that will carry you forward. And I have to pause just a minute. Okay, here we are back again. That was the mail. Okay, so the thought just said, trust the synchronicities in life as blessings. Whether they're comfortable or uncomfortable, there's always an opportunity when we pay attention. So the synchronicity of that interruption is that everyone gets to take a breath now. I had to take a breath. You get to take a breath. Remember that every interruption in life, every point of magic, every unexpected event, every blessing is always a message from your higher self and from your guides and from the universe. And when you are called to pay attention to a message or a synchronicity, that's when especially something is potent for you. So take a breath. Feel, we were talking about the Queen of Cups, so feel your own connection now to your heart, to your truest wisdom that lies within your heart, your ability to trust yourself and to trust others, and to know that we are all doing our best. That's one of the biggest messages right now. What if every single person, the people, even the people with the worst behavior, what if we're all doing our best and we're here to figure this out together? What if? Okay. The final card here for Cancer is the Four of Cups. In this deck, it's called Luxury. It represents your strong heart. 4 is the number of structure and form. And so this represents your ability to use trust and faith and appreciation to trust your heart. This is a huge new acquisition over the last month. If you haven't done so yet, in the next day or two, take some time. I invite you to take some time to reflect on the events of the last month, what you have learned, what you have observed, what has unfolded in your life, what your new goals and visions are, what your practical intentions are for moving forward. It might be helpful if you draw cards or if you do new moon and full moon spreads or intentions. It might be helpful to revisit those. We really do have the opportunity at this moon to anchor a new trajectory. That is always true, especially at new moon and full moons, but this one is especially potent for the reasons I've talked about. The universe is giving us an opportunity to maximize all the openings and potentials of this year, to start to the chaos and the disorder around us. The disruptions are an evidence of energy being opened up. This is the point now. What the guides are saying is this is the point now where we get to start bringing it all together. So the more you can connect to inspiration and inner trust, that quality of your strong 4-chambered heart, which is that another way to talk about the 4 of Cups, the more you can trust your strong 4-chambered heart, the more you can participate from a place of empowerment. So let's dive into the spread. First card, let me pull these away. First card in the position, I like to always start in the center, is another 4. 4 of Swords. In this deck, it's called Truth. The 4 of Swords represents your strong heart and your willingness to hold equanimity, to come to truth and balance with all of the circumstances of your life. That's the strong green color, and the white lotus at the center is your willingness to connect. That represents your crown chakra, your willingness to connect to the light and then bring it into your heart and choose to show up. So there are 4 practices associated with this card. The ability to show up, which means choose to come present to your own vertical alignment, and then pay attention to what has heart and meaning for yourself. And that comes through grounding and being present and listening to your body. Show up, pay attention to what has heart and meaning for you, and then speak the truth without blame or judgment. Speak your truth without blame or judgment. The truth of what inspires you, the truth of what heals, the truth that carries us forward. And then the 4th principle is surrender. Release attachment to outcome. So when we can fully participate in these practices and still hold the paradox of releasing, commit fully and release and surrender and trust, that's when we really step into alignment. So you're encouraged now at this new moon and in the coming days to use the principles and tools that you have been practicing, your new habits and your new qualities of inner alignment and curiosity. Use those tools to now practice coming to equanimity with your circumstances. Remember that the new moon symbol is the ability to balance paradox in new ways, to experience the beauty of paradox, the golden scales, and trust that the universe always provides balance. You have new qualities of sight, new qualities of perception, and new qualities of inner trust and calm and alignment that will help you see and experience contrast, the opportunities and contrast in new ways, so you can make your own choice, balance your own scale, set your own boundaries, create your own field that will carry you forward. Okay, so the position of circumstances, big synchronicity with what we're talking about, the Prince of Swords. So the Prince of Swords is a new gift of emotional confidence and courage coming from the Queen that we just talked about from this last month. This represents your ability now to choose what has heart and meaning for you, to make decisions and to move forward from your own inner guidance. So the most important quality of circumstances I'm hearing right now from the guides is your own relationship to yourself and to your heart. And when you choose your heart, when you choose beauty, and when you choose the truth, the highest truth, and to see that highest truth, when you choose appreciation, then you will be able to see those qualities in the circumstances around you. And just a minute, there's something else. Allow yourself to, this quality of surrender here is to allow yourself to release what doesn't serve you anymore. This is all of the princes are always about moving forward. And so this is a time to choose your new trajectory that may require letting go of the past. It might be your own ideas of the past. It might be your perceptions of yourself. It also can be certain qualities of relationships and certain circumstances. When you trust your heart, you will know, and it's always moving towards something more fortunate and beautiful. And what you release, you also release with love and beauty. Okay? And then the final card in the position of Spirit, the Knight of Wands. So one thing I want to share with you is the prevalence in all of our spreads in Mystery School over the last month of what we call court cards, of these cards of people, the Prince of Cups, the Knight of Wands. There are huge synchronicities right now among those of us who draw the cards, indicating that we are stepping into new mastery. These court cards always present new qualities of mastery and personal development. The Knight of Wands in spirit is representing and reminding you that your higher self is carrying you forward in huge momentum right now. This is the Knight charging forward. The Knight of Wands represents the gift of new light and huge momentum moving forward in your life. What's significant here is that your higher self and source are guiding that momentum. It's not your job to charge forward. Your job right now is to pay attention and feel and make your choices from a place of balance and equanimity. The momentum is the flow in which you are participating. And then the final card, which I love for our message for today, is another court card, the Princess of Swords. So she is emphasizing the Four of Swords. What the princess is saying here is that, and can you see the brilliant green and the yellow of her image of the painting here? The brilliant green is your heart, moving forward from inspiration, from the power of your mind, and that the power of the sword now, of the sword of alignment that we talked about, to make new choices that are aligned with your highest and best. One of the interesting qualities that I was really drawn to in meditating earlier this morning on this spread was that she's rising up out of an old altar. And the smoke here is the altar disintegrating. This represents the fact that you have freedom now. The princesses and the princes are all about freedom. You have freedom now to be released from limiting structures that have contained your own expansion. The altars that are dismantling are the altars that don't serve us. So as I said in the earlier post that I sent out this morning, what would it mean to leave behind all these old altars of our personal attachments and our beliefs and our securities? What would it mean to leave behind all these old altars and come straight to the altar of the earth, to the altar of our home, and to the altar of the beauty of life and love that support us? That's the invitation today. So trust your heart and trust your imagination and your courage and your willpower to use your tools to show up with integrity and courage and inspiration to participate in the new world that we're creating. I want to say I spent a lot of time meditating and receiving some messages before I started this video, more than usual, and that's just because of the potency of today. And so one of the things that I'm guided to talk about is I want to speak to those of you before we close the session today. This storm that she's rising out of, what was once an altar that's now a storm, and dust that's crumbling. This is a reference to shadow. And for those of you who are very much aware of the shadow that's being revealed, to those of you who have questions about new revelations of the shadow of our collective here, what I want to say is that it's very true that disturbing truths are being revealed. What's important now is that we have the tools we need to hold in our strong hearts this shadow that's always been there, the dark underbelly that we have all been subject to. The shadows that are being revealed, we have the power and the confidence and the courage now to hold compassion for this truth in order to heal. There's no accident, as I said, to the timings. So it's time to see what has been hidden. It's time to hold space for trauma, whether it's your own trauma that you are feeling or the trauma that you're seeing and learning about that's being revealed within our culture. We have the tools we need to show up for this and to heal it. So the message for those of you who are experiencing this is to choose the power of love, to reach out to others to whom you can share what you are learning, and create an inner circle that enables you to tell your stories and to hold conviction and commitment to receiving the tools we need, so that we can unite together with our tools and with the forces of the universe to show up with our warrior power, with our power to heal, with our power of art, and to create a new timeline, a new story. The past is no longer needs to hold us. So what if, the final point here today is, what if you are more than you ever thought possible? What if we are more than we ever thought possible, and that's what's being revealed? What if beneath the shadow is all the light that's been held and trapped here? So take a breath, feel the truth of the light of who you are, and then connect with your own courage and your will and the power of life to heal, the power of love to heal. You are more gifted and brilliant and powerful than you have ever known. And that's this new trajectory and new journey that we're on. So thank you so much for your participation today, for being part of this work, the work with a capital W of our life, for showing up for your own work and for your part in the new world that we are creating together. This is real. I asked for a final blessing, or I was invited when I pulled the cards to draw a final blessing and affirmation, and so I turned over the next card in the deck after I pulled the spread, and it was the art card. This is true. This is a message from your higher self and from our guides, that we are here to create a new world. The alchemy of light and dark is the mystery and magic of this world. And we are ready to step to a new level of empowerment, to really discover what's possible in this world, and to rise above the traumas of the history that we carry within our bodies and that we are now witnessing around us. This is not a new event. It's the story of the life here that we are ready to heal. So hold space for the healing and for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones, and for our world. And ask to see what you haven't seen before, because what's being revealed is actually so beautiful. Okay. If you are inspired by this work, you're welcome to subscribe to the video message or subscribe to the Mystery School, Alchemy Mystery School newsletter. You're also welcome and invited to subscribe to the Daily Gold, which is a morning daily energy session and written message that you receive personally each day. This is one way that we work together as a community to support each other in our expansion. So most of all, thank you for being who you are and for your part in bringing forward these messages. Have an amazing new moon. Have an amazing month. And I'll see you again in a couple of weeks with our next message. Happy new moon.